Yeah, another one. So as you can see, I've gotten to a certain point and stopped. Because now I've messaged the client and I haven't gotten an answer back. But yeah, as we are going about doing a visual inspection, right? Cylinder 1, there's quite a bit of carbon down there. Oh, that one actually got fuel down there. That one's also got quite a bit of carbon down there. Oh shit. That one's... Is dat goed, carbon? Op en af? Dankie, Bayo. Oh, that one's got a pull in it. Okay. Yeah, it's gotta be done. Ik vind als je kon eruit is. Daar was met water in, man. Oeh, money shot. Woo! I gotta call him. Oh, that's fucked. So I'm gonna apologize for the background noise, but somehow you guys need to learn this lesson, and somehow somebody's gotta show it to you. So I'm gonna do that now. So obviously, if you don't have the equipment to do this, a normal flat screwdriver. But as you can see, I'm using a Wish little pick, cheap little piece of shit, but it does the job. So lessons on how to pull this off. First thing is gonna pull it backwards towards you, right? Put a locking clip behind there. You see this? I put the pick behind in there, right? Now I push down. Now it's under tension, right? So my fingers pushing it back. Now you go for the opposite side, right? So once you've clipped it loose on the opposite side, the locking clip will move. So what's so difficult about learning that? Do you know why I made this video now? That one is good, which is the return, which don't hold a lot of pressure. This one is a pressurized pipe, but hulle breekie clips op die pressurized side. Julle kan eerder daai kan gebreek het. This is a fire hazard. This is how people's cars burn out. I'm going to touch this thing here now. Then I can pull this off. Just look. Fairly easy. So, if they don't lock this thing incorrectly, this pipe's going to shoot off. See, I can push. So if you don't put it on correctly, you're going to fuck it up. This, or a little flat screwdriver, that's all you need. You don't need to fight with it. You just need to know how to remove it. That's it. So I'm about to pull the cylinder, right? Now before I even touch the bolts, I know that's broken. Yeah, he did that on lube it, but yeah, I know that's broken. I can see it's broken. So the head and that must be welded. And soos julle kan sien, het die het geblaas. This motor's been recently done, no? It's blown. So what I do also know is the water passage on the end here is also corroded into number 4. And then this is blown into this one. You understand? So the water's going from here to here, or being pushed over also. But I had no avala confirm as gedaan, né? This is a first for me, ever. I've never, ever seen this before. I'm doing a 20 year. Where the fuck do you get a gasket for that? Where the fuck did you get a gasket for this? Because this is just sealant that's supposed to go on here. This is an actual gasket. I've never seen that. Ever. I'm doing this kaklo. That's the first time I've ever seen a gasket on a cam box. Ever. She's quite cooked. She's quite cooked. All three of those have the head's blown marks on it. Let me just pull this shit off. Right, let me pause you. So the importance, that very importance, why I made that gescalery video last time, the very importance about torquing the cylinder heads down correctly. Right? Let's have a look at the head. Let's have a look at the gasket. All of them. Do you know why? What is that? That's not torquing the head down correctly. And once it heat cycles a few times, yeah. So the head actually moved quite a bit. Let's hope there's still enough meat on here to just give it a scheming. I really thought this was bad. It's not that bad actually. But the mere fact that you didn't torque it down correctly, the exhaust gases escaped right around. That is the indication of not torquing it down. You see the burn marks over here. You see the burn marks over there. All of that burn marks is due to not torquing the head down correctly. Yeah, the gasket is crushed. Remember, you gotta do a hot settings on the cars as well. And do me a favor, don't buy these cuck head bolts. Don't buy this cheap shit, please, man. Rather settle for the Victorine head bolts, because the problem is your E12 doesn't fit on this thing. You gotta move it on with a hammer, and that's a fucking irritation if you're a mechanic. Want jy nou baklei om jou socket af te kry elke keer, and this is due to buying cheap bolts. To think just a 200 rand more, you can buy a quality bolt. It's not the bolt itself. The bolt's fine. The strength of the bolt's fine. Here's your problem. It ends up slipping. Then you can't torque the head down 100%. The way it's supposed to. This is the issue we have here. The head wasn't torqued tight enough. This is not due to not having water in the system. There's no leakage on this thing. There's nothing running out. I checked the system. Right around, there's no leaking around the engine. It just shows me from the bottle, meaning the exhaust gases was already going into the water passageways. You can see it here. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. But yeah, long-term driving without water also does this now. But there's a reason why this happened to start with. And we don't still really, unless there's severe pitting on the block, then we use copper compound. But further on, we don't still worry with the copper compound. I gotta put something fucking flat on this block. I hope the block didn't shrink. I hope that's alright, Adam. But let me go drop that fucking thing by the engineers and hear what they say. See? There's no trace of water behind the engine. There's no wells plug problems. I have no water marks behind the block or coolant marks. There's no holes in the wells plugs. I checked them. I checked the front ones. I checked the radiator all the way down till the bottom and the opposite side. So water didn't escape, right? They escaped there. It all goes right back to the cylinder head. You understand? So that is the initial investigation on this thing. That is why the bottle did what it did. You understand? See all that watermarks? If you don't torque it down correctly, about a month after you've torqued down the head, it will start doing this. About 30 days. Sometimes a week, depending on the weather that day, will determine when the thing does that basically did there. But ja, let ek gou disappear. Ek moet gou grindmes toe gaan ook. Nee, ek gaan dit dobbel. Ek gaan elkaar regmaak daarso nou. First start. Dit klaar, dan kan ek maak wat hy nie. Daai plastic dinge daar is klaar op fit in die bullet. Hy is lank al daar. Is nie net 'n dent, dit knop. Sorry man. Waar hy geval nou? But I don't know what it sounded like. Morning. So yeah, based on what I found on that particular engine, it all showed signs of, but the head wasn't tied down. It wasn't. You didn't follow one last procedure. It was run the vehicle hot and then torque it down again. That's the one procedure that a lot of people is missing out on. Buy a Victor Ryan's head gasket set. You will get your torque specs in there based on the engine number that you're working with. Will be based on the torque spec. So some of the older model Corsa lights has Astra cylinder heads on. So the torque specs will be basically the same as a C14 SE. Now if you follow that procedure, you shouldn't have a problem at all, especially that one. But as it is, the fan on this vehicle didn't go on, as you guys can see in the end of this video. I'm showing you guys that I'm hot wiring a fan directly to the battery. It's just for them to get to an auto. The auto side of things I do not do. I'm not in auto. I don't pull wiring. I hate that part of it. I will do the fault finding and I will splice in wiring, yes, to a degree. Past that point, I stop. Now it's out of my hands and needs to go to a different department, which is an auto. I don't do body work. I don't do auto work. I don't do suspension alignment things. I don't do none of those. I specialize in what we call fuck-ups. I correct fuck-ups. That is what I specialize in lately. I can't say I specialize in a field of car. I specialize in fuck-ups. That's all I do lately. Where somebody else has been, and then I have to rectify that shit. That is lately what I specialize in. And all I specialize in. But yeah, fan wasn't working, cylinder wasn't bolted down correctly. So that is why the head was cooked. At least they didn't pull off a lot of material off that cylinder head, because I was present when they did the run. That was one light run through the entire cylinder head. He took off about, I think he mentioned 8 thou. Was it 5 thou? Something like that, but it was very little. Because it blew consistently. It's uniform. It blew immediate. It blew out the gasket and it basically shrunk it a little bit, but not enough to the point where I had to take a lot of material off. That motor is good. It's not pinging. It's not on its last. It's good. Even though that head was schemed like 2-3 months before that. Yeah. So if there's a problem, you need to notify the client about that issue so that they can have it sorted. Properly sorted. Not MacGyver together. What I did is to get the vehicle home or to get the vehicle to the auto. Hot wiring the fan direct, we don't do that. You would rather put a relay in and run it through the system of a cold start. Be a Peugeot or not. But you don't run it directly. You're basically just draining living shit out of the battery. Meaning, by the time you get home, that battery will be flatter than charged. Understand? Because the fan's running at maximum. And that fan is pulling as much current as the starter, which is a lot. Understand?